the fact that something has disappeared off media agenda doesn't mean that people are living in peace and they don't need humanitarian aid anymore.
Okay, so Anastasia, can you tell us about the Too Important to Fail report regarding humanitarian financing, please?
What we can share with regard to this report and the humanitarian financing is the fact that this day and age, it's important number of people who are still in need of assistance. We are talking, according to the UN data, some 125 million people who are in need of humanitarian aid. And the fact that a lot of humanitarian organizations are facing financial problems and need to fulfill the financial gaps to help those people in need. And there are a number of steps that can be taken to improve this situation. For starters, we should stop considering that a humanitarian aid to a crisis can be just temporary and can be a quick fix solution. We have seen, even in the example of Syria crisis, that it lasts almost 5 years by now. The situation in Afghanistan has been going on for more than 30 years. South Sudan has marked its 2 years, and there's no respite in suffering for people affected. So we have to be prepared as humanitarian organizations to work and to ensure a sustainable solution for people who are in need of assistance, and also to have the sustainable commitment on the side of the donors, be these governments or the private, the individuals or the corporate donors that may wish to assist humanitarian organizations.
Okay, now talking about bridging some of the gaps in terms of funding, last year the ICRC's fund was huge. It was already breaking records at 1.6 billion francs. This year, it's increasing yet further to 1.7 billion francs. But I understand that the needs will still be outstripped by the funds. What is the goal in terms of monetary that you're looking for, and where are we hoping it's going to come from?
Been very clear with our asks, and yes, we see over the past 5 years that our budget has been constantly growing, but we have also seen, particularly in the last year, the commitment of the donor community to help us face and deal with those situations and to bring the aid that is needed for people on the ground. You may have seen the recent operations and the aid that has been delivered to besieged areas in Syria, and activities like this and operations like this need to continue. It should not be just a once-off distribution. It should go on a regular basis as long as people need access to the basic needs. So we are hoping that this year the donors will also accompany, if you want, ICRC's ambition and our will and desire to reach those most in need and to help people get access to water, to medical care, to food, which is what people need in many conflict areas today.
Explain that first and foremost. But you mentioned Sudan and Syria and different places, but in terms of 2016, what are the main humanitarian concerns that exist?
Well, our key operations are linked with the situation in the Middle East that has been, different countries in this region are affected by conflicts in various degrees. Syria and Syrian crisis is the first operation of the ICRC, Iraq, South Sudan, Yemen, on top of our list. Important project, and the people have seen what's been happening in Yemen and in Afghanistan and in other places with regard to attacks on healthcare, on the doctors and hospitals and medical infrastructure. So for us, it's a very important project which is at the very heart of our organization that has been founded on the battlefield, to make sure that through different means of publicity and advocacy and discussions with the military, with the stakeholders, that we all take a concerted effort to ensure that the hospitals are not attacked and that the doctors can work. Prevention of sexual violence and the promotion of international humanitarian law and making sure that the rules of war are respected on the battlefield remain very much at the heart of our operations.
Indeed. And with all that considered, do you think the grand bargain, as it has been deemed, is radical enough? Do you think 2016 is a year for a shake-up for humanitarian financing?
Well, if you ask me, I mean, there's even, the last year already has been a year of shakes and, and rattles for many organizations. For some conflicts, you could observe, so-called donor fatigue, when people are just too tired of listening about, the same type of news and, forget that also, there are parts of Africa or parts of Asia where the conflicts continue. And this, in a way, what we are trying to change, including through, advocacy and publicity, trying to raise the public interest and to re-explain that, the fact that something has disappeared off media agenda doesn't mean that people are living in peace and they don't need humanitarian aid anymore.
That's a very important point. It really is. I mean, it's so if something's right in your face, you kind of tend to care about it a little bit more, but these problems are still going on. But thank you so much, Anastasia, for coming in and, talking it through with us. It's a really interesting and really important subject. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's all from Anastasia and myself for the moment, but there's plenty more coming up on Dukascopy TV, so keep clicking back. Goodbye for now.